right, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're tuning in from. Welcome to this week's mobile coaching stream. My name is Patrick France, senior instructor here at VectorVest. Hopefully everybody is doing well. I see Randy coming in. This is the very first person. Good morning, Randy. Hopefully you're having a good day so far. So we should be live both on Facebook and on YouTube. So if you guys can hear me out there, just type in VV Nation into the chat. Let's get those going. Waiting for the notification to go out so that way everybody is aware, and so that way we can get everybody in here today. But hopefully you guys are doing well. Once again, welcome. This is our weekly mobile coaching stream that we do here both on Facebook and on YouTube, where we talk about the most comprehensive trading app available to you, and that's right, the VectorVest Stock Advisory app. Hey there, Reginald. Good morning, Ninja. Hopefully you're doing well. So, as always, what we typically like to do here during our streams is we talk about, first and foremost, what's going on in the market here today. Then we'll dive into our topic of discussion, where we're going to be showing you guys, making sure everybody's aware of where to find some valuable information that can really help you gain insight into what's going on in the market. And then, as always, we'll finish off with our fan favorite of analyzing any stock that you want to see in less than 10 seconds. So today's session or today's stream is going to be relatively short. It's going to be short, sweet, and simple. So let's go ahead, jump right into it. Also, as always, if you want to show your support for the stream, if you like these streams, make sure smash that thumbs up button right below me. That helps us out with the YouTube algorithms, doesn't cost you a thing, and allows us to continue to grow this awesome VV Nation community that we've built here over the last few years, and also allows us to keep these streams going. So if you guys enjoy these streams, you want to see more of these streams, you want to learn more about how to make money in the markets, make sure, as always, to smash that thumbs up button at the bottom. And if you're not enjoying yourself and you don't like making money in the markets, then you can hit that thumbs down button. That's fine too. But let us know that you guys are liking these streams by showing your support by hitting that thumbs up there. Also, if you're not a subscriber already, make sure to hit that red subscribe button, turn on the notifications, because we're going to be having some new announcements coming up very, very soon, and you won't want to miss out. So therefore, make sure the notifications are turned on. Hey there, Chris. Good morning, Wahid. Hopefully you guys are doing well. All right, so as always, let's jump right into it here today. So looking at the major indices right now, as we can see, the Dow is down 0.6%. NASDAQ is down about 0.5%. S&P 500 down about 0.6%. VectorVest Composite down about 0.5%. Also, good morning, Maria. Good morning, Marty. Good morning, Raymond. Hopefully you all are doing well here this morning. Glad to have you here. So that market action has pushed our needle 2 ticks into the red. Therefore, the market is neutral, and VectorVest advocates caution when buying stocks at this time. Did I not update? Oh, I have not updated. So this brings me to a side note here for everybody using the Stock Advisory app. If you're seeing this bug where it's not showing correctly in the gauge at the top, there's a new update that should have came out yesterday, I believe, that fixes this. I must have not had the update. I usually have my updates set for automatic, and it may not have updated yet. But if you have this issue, we're aware of it, and there is a fix already out, so you just need to update the app. I'll update it after today's session. So it looks like actually we are 3 ticks into the yellow based off the color guard down here at the bottom. Now that market timing gauge gets its colors from the top row of lights in the color guard here. And the color guard analyzes 3 of our key components to our market timing system. The first one we always look at is the price of the VectorVest Composite. The VectorVest Composite is an arithmetic indexed average of about 9,200 stocks out there, and we feel this gives us a better representation on what's actually going on in the markets, because it's not just looking at small subsets such as the Dow's 30, the Nasdaq's 100, or the S&P's 500, but it's looking at 9,200 stocks all into one. David coming in as a new subscriber. Welcome to the VV Nation, David. Glad to have you here. VV Nation, show him some love. The second indicator we're going to talk about is the RT, or relative timing. And this is a short-term indicator on the overall or the price of the VectorVest Composite. It's cast on a scale of 0 to 2. So if it's above 1, the short-term trend will be up. Below 1, the short-term trend will be down. So as we can see, it is down day over day, but still higher week over week. Third indicator is the BSR, the buy to sell ratio, which gives us an indication on the overall market health. And if there's more buys than sells in a database, then the buy to sell ratio would be above 1. And if there's more sells than buys, as there is now, the buy to sell ratio is going to be below 1. So therefore indicating overall market weakness. Welcome to VV Nation. There we go. Yeah, there we go. All right. So after that, the combination of the trends of these three indicators, should I say, are comprised to come up with our MTI or our market timing indicator. It's looking at the underlying trend in the market, and once again, it's cast on a scale of 0 to 2. So if it's above 1, the underlying trend is up. Below 1, the underlying trend is down. As we can see at 0.64, the underlying trend in the market is currently down. Need to be simpler? Lola, I'm just going over the basics right now. I don't know if there's any other way of being simpler than this for right now. After the MTI, we then get the trend column, which shows two parts of the trend each and every day. Now, the first part of the trend is looking at what we like to call the primary wave, which is showing you the short-term or simply weekly trend in the market. As we can see, it is up since the price of the VectorVest composite is higher than what it was compared to 5 trading days earlier. The second part of the trend is simply looking at the MTI or the underlying trend in the market. And since the MTI is below that level of 1, the underlying trend in the market is down currently. And then last but not least, we do want to finish off with our calls column, which stands for our confirmed calls. Now, our confirmed calls are our most conservative timing system here at VectorVest. They're our last signal we get to get into the market and our last signal we get to get out. As you can see, we still remain in that confirmed down situation as of today. So as always, we do want to finish off taking a look at the advanced declines, showing the number of stocks moving higher for the day and the number of stocks moving lower for the day. If the market's moving higher, we typically want to see twice as many stocks advancing than declining to give us probability of success on our side that if we got into a stock, it will most likely be moving up upon purchase, giving us that little bit of cushion right out of the gate. And if the market's moving lower and we want to play the market to the downside, we want to see twice as many stocks declining than advancing. Well, right now we see 28% of stocks moving higher and 57% of stocks moving lower. So not at that 2-to-1 ratio that we prefer to see, telling us we may want to wait or be patient, wait for that better opportunity to enter into a trade. All right, so as always, if you ever want this kind of information on a nightly basis, if you want to stay in tune to what's going on in the market and make sure you never get caught off guard, make sure to tune into the daily color guard report found right here. And that way we'll recap what's going on in the market today, what to expect for tomorrow, what news you need to be aware of, and how to prepare yourself for the next trading day. Once again, in essence, watching that short video will make sure that you never get caught off guard with what's going on in the markets and stay ahead of things. So one of the things with this, you can watch that video, but if you're somebody who enjoys reading more so than just watching a video, if you're somebody who learns more just by reading rather than watching a video, that's what we're going to be talking about here today. The VectorVest Views is our nightly newsletter designed to keep you informed on what's going on in the markets. Now on Fridays, we do a more thorough, detailed version of those views where we cover more analysis, and that's what we're going to be looking at here today. The Views is greatly underappreciated in my opinion because it has so much information that can give you really good insight into what's going on, or if there's a potential reversal coming into the market, especially after the bloodbath we've seen of 2022 so far. It'll really help give you that extra insight and help you get ahead of things rather than get caught off guard and having to scramble to try to get a trade on and then potentially overlooking something, making mistakes, and rushing yourself there. So as always, if you want to jump into the views right from here, you can simply click on the views and that'll take you into that nightly report. May not have updated. Let me try this real fast. There we go. All right, got to close out of here. It's updating right now. Speaking of that update, that's why it wasn't working properly. I needed to update it here. There we go. Man, Apple's really picking the prime time for doing the automatic updates. All right, so as you can see, the color guard or the market timing gauge is now fixed. So therefore, if you guys are having that issue, make sure to update your app and you shouldn't have any issue anymore with that. Feed stopped working, mobile app application. Mobile app feed stopped working. My feed never stopped working. Just I was waiting for that update there. All right. So looking at it here, the views is a written out detailed description of what's going on in the market every day. At first, on Monday through Thursday, you get the analysis talking about how all of our indicators performed, comparing them day over day, week over week, all that information there. You get a longer version of the color guard where you can now see a longer historical view of that color guard there to help you gain more insight. And without even looking at the numbers, just by looking at the longer version. Closed captions, hard of hearing. Marty, I don't have any closed captions on my end with OBS, but if you're on YouTube, there's a little CC button in the bottom, actually somewhere right down here, right by where you can adjust the volume and all that. You can click on that and that should put on the closed captions there for you. Let me make sure that is working. I think that should be turned on. So if you turn on closed captions with the player on YouTube, you should be able to get those there. All right. But yeah, getting back into it, without even looking at the numbers, just by simply looking at the colors, we can see we've had a lot of red over the last few weeks, but now all of a sudden we're starting to see the market slowing down and seeing a potential reversal coming in here. What I mean by that is we're now seeing those red lights, the pace of those red lights slowing down, now starting to see it transition from red to yellow, and next we'll hopefully be seeing it transition from yellow to green, just like a traffic light. You know, if you recall a traffic light, if you see a red light, what do? You stop. Simply stop buying, for example. If you see a yellow light, you'll use caution. Sometimes you'll go through a yellow light. Sometimes you'll just slow down and stop. But when you see green lights, that's when you can continue to go through, no worries, going through that intersection there. Same would apply here. So we're transitioning now from red to yellow. Now we're looking to see that real transition from yellow to green. And then scrolling down a little bit more from there, we get the guidance. So as you can see, the guidance from last night was rising bond yields weighed on the market, and Wall Street ended the day lower, although well off session lows. With 3 yellow lights in an up-down situation, prudent investors may buy stocks long only if the market is rising, and aggressive investors and traders should play the market that develops with a bias to the upside. So let's talk about that. Well, are the markets rising right now? No. When we say may buy stocks long only if the market is rising, that's meaning that 30 minutes to an hour after the market opens, make sure all the major indices are in the green and moving higher. And right now we just don't have that. So therefore, as a prudent investor, we'd still be sitting on our hands waiting for that better opportunity. So one of the other key pieces of information that can be found here just on a nightly basis is looking at both the 1 and 5 day Derby winners. Just by a show of hands, let me see. If you guys watched the strategy of the week that I did last week talking about bottom fishing, type in a 1 into the chat, and if you didn't, type in 2. It's okay if you didn't, be honest. But if you did watch the strategy of the week last week, type in a 1. If you didn't, type in a 2. Just curious to see what everybody has there. Awesome. So I'm seeing a lot of 1s coming in. A lot of you guys did watch it. Perfect. If you didn't, that's fine. You can go back and replay the video. Just give our support a call. They can help you find it depending on where you're trying to watch it from. But one of the key things that I talked about is looking at the 1 day Derby winners. When you're looking at the 1 day Derby winners, after the market's been going down for a while, one of the key early signs that the market's starting to reverse course is when you start seeing bottom fishing searches loading all top 5 Derby 1 day winners. So right now we have Blyer's bottom feeders, which is a bottom fishing search. But then after that, we have more aggressive to technical scans. So we don't really have those signs of bottom fishers really making the top 5 performers for the 1 day. So this is a way of knowing, all right, the markets were looking good over the last couple of days. You saw them rallying 5% in a matter of a couple of days overall, but we're not really getting those signs yet that, that true bottom is in and that those bottom fishers are starting to perform, which would indicate the reversal coming in, taking hold in the markets. So this can give you some valuable insight. I know a lot of people out there, especially in the Jockey Club, were talking about how, let's go bottom fishing. Are we going to be getting into bottom fishing? And the simple answer was no, because the rules that we have, the signs that we see historically are not quite present yet. We haven't really seen, the green light with follow through. We haven't seen bottom fishing searches coming into the top 1-day performers. So therefore telling us we're getting close. We see potential, but we're not quite there yet to get that confirmation that we need to be able to start getting into the markets. So then below there though, you find information about our different portfolios. But if we get into the views itself, taking a look at a Friday's report. Fridays, once again, are more of an expanded edition of the views. At the top, you have all of our contact information. So if you ever need to get a hold of us, you can get a hold of us here. Our phone numbers, email addresses, everything. Below that, you get a list of our upcoming webcasts and webinars that we have coming up. Our International Online Forum, which is wildly popular with Stan Heller. Trade Like a Pro that we have coming up, and a few others. But then you get down the market review, which recaps what's going on in the market that whole week. We get a special essay written by Angela Akers. This used to be Dr. DeLito's essay. And this is where you can really gain some valuable insight into the overall market. This is where, by reading that essay on that weekly basis, this is where Dr. DeLito warned our subscribers back in 2007, before the market started crashing, to say, hey, the market could be heading for a long-term decline. You may want to consider protecting yourself, may want to consider moving to cash or taking some defensive actions. Markets continue to move lower, as we all know, for the 07-08 crash. And then in March of 2009, that's when Dr. DeLito wrote an essay found here on that Friday's Views titled Itching to Rally the Market, talking about how, there was bad news still out in the markets. Companies were still losing money, but they weren't losing as much money. And so that little bit of positive news caused the markets to rally, which is a great sign after a bear market that we're starting to transition back into a bull market. So you can find a lot of great insights, not only to what's going on in the markets right now, but also how that, how you can take advantage of that, and giving you some past performance as well, giving you other examples of how that's useful for you in different market conditions. So I highly recommend, if you guys aren't familiar with the views on a night, or the views in the essay, I highly recommend you spend that time over the weekend reading the views, or reading the essay at least. Also, as I said at the very beginning though, if you're somebody who likes to watch the video, we do cover the main key highlights in that daily color guard report every single night. So if you want to watch the video, get the recap of the main points, main talking points, you can do that. But if you want to see a breakdown and more detailed information, you can go to the views themselves. One of the key tips when utilizing the views is, if you notice the word pages in the upper right hand corner, you can tap on that, and then you can change which category or which section of the views you want to go to. So if you fast forward to that using this pages option right here as well. So getting down into it, we have October Almanac, earnings update. Earnings, extremely important. As we can see, the ETI, or the earnings trend indicator, now sits at a level of 1.2. It was a high of 1.3 just a month or two ago. So the earnings trend indicator has been dropping significantly here over the last few months, which is definitely something you want to be aware of and you want to be cautious with. But coming out into it, we can go to the climate. The climate is going to break down the macro level of what's going on in the markets right now. It's going to talk about the main key economic data that's been coming out and how that has an impact on the markets. So here you can see it talking about the personal income, PCI, PCE, talking about all of that information. You can find a breakdown of the T-bill rates, 10-year AAA corporate bonds, S&P 500 earnings. A lot of insight, once again, focusing on the macro view of the markets. So if you're not familiar with this, I highly recommend, looking at it every once in a while, keeping up to date with it, because the big view is definitely going to be important in the long term. Whoops, sorry about that. I did hit the unmute. I guess it didn't register there. Sorry about that. But yeah, so once again, the strategy section here is where you can find our guidance for the following week, a recap of the market, our 1 and 5 day Derby winners, about some of our model portfolios, and then you can also find the strategy of the week section here as well, which for everybody who is typing in a 2 that wants to go back and watch that replay of the strategy of the week that I brought to you guys last week, you can click on that link right there and go and visit or go and watch it there. It's not super long, but you'll gain a lot of insight on what to look for when considering opening up a bottom fishing portfolio. My bad, Ninja. Sorry about that. All right, so that's going to be the strategy section. Timing is going to be talking about the overall market timing. Valuation just talks about the major indices. Stocks is a great insight. You can find our top stock of the week. LNG talks about what it is, talks about what it does, the numbers behind it, and then you can find a list of some of our our top stocks depending on different categories, such as highest VST stock, highest VST less than $20, highest RT, highest RV, highest RS, lowest VST. So you can really find a lot of useful information, especially if you're looking for a stock that may not be the very top one. Maybe you're more aggressive. Maybe you're looking for more momentum. So therefore, you'd probably take a look at the highest RT stock. Or if you're a long-term conservative investor, maybe you're looking for the highest RS stock. And every single week, we update you with that stock found right here in the stock section of the views. So once again, the views are an extremely powerful tool that is greatly underappreciated. There's a lot of great information inside of the views on a nightly basis, but especially on the Fridays report, the extended version, where we cover all the information that you need to be aware of to keep you up to date with what's going on in the markets. And once again, this will make sure that you never get caught off guard by anything going on in the market here. So with that, that's going to be it. I told you guys, short, sweet, and simple here today. The views are extremely powerful. There's a lot of information in them, but when talking about them, we can cover the main points that you guys need to be aware of. So that way you guys can stay on top of things once again, and not get caught off guard with what's going on in the markets. So if you have questions about the views, feel free to let me know. I'm interested to see how many people here are regularly reading the views or watch that weekly update and read the views through that, because that's one of the things as an instructor here at VectorVest, as somebody who's worked with thousands of people over the years, people really overlook this. And so that's why I wanted to bring it to your guys' attention here today. We talked about it in our strategy of the week, but I wanted to show you guys how to get some of that insight that we talked about in the strategy on the mobile version this week. So seeing a lot of people saying they do read the views, and I like to hear that, because that is possibly the easiest thing you can do to improve your investing. As I've said probably in the past many times, one of the biggest pieces of feedback I get from the thousands of people I've worked with that said, just by that one tip of watching the weekly video or reading the views, that in itself has greatly improved thousands of people's investing over the years. And so that's why, we don't talk about it a lot, but that's why I wanted to bring it to your guys' attention today, just to make sure everybody was aware of it and talk about different aspects of the app that we haven't normally talked about recently. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. If you do, as always, make sure hit that thumbs up button. So that way, you show support for the channel. Keep us going and keep it going here. Take my stock advice from VectorVest and drink advice from Patrick. Hey, you switched to it, so Westmere, I hope you enjoy it. Hopefully you're liking it so far. I've actually got the kiwi guava right now, so that's going well. Great information, awesome. Love hearing it. No more Red Bull. I know it definitely is a better feeling. It doesn't feel like you're full of sugar and a whole bunch of other stuff. I definitely like it over Red Bull for sure. All right, so with that, if you guys have stocks that you want to see analyzed, go ahead and start throwing them into the chat. Let's get that chat feed rolling as fast as we can, and so we can get your guys' stocks analyzed. Now, as always, what you see right now or what you're about to see by analyzing your stocks, you guys can do wherever you're at on the go just by pulling up the app. And if you're not a subscriber, you can always click on the link down in the description of today's video and sign up for the 2-week free trial and put it to the test on your own as well. All right, so let's go ahead. Got Maria coming in with WTI. We'll go ahead and pull that up. All right, so as always, whenever we're going over any stock in the VectorVest database or any stock out there in the market, we always start off at the bottom here with these 4 indicators. Now, these 4 indicators are all going to be cast on a scale of 0 to 2, and above 1 is favorable, below 1 is unfavorable. That's as hard as we need to make it here. So the first indicator we're talking about is RV or relative value, which is looking at the 1 to 3 year long-term potential of the stock. For this stock, WTI, with an RV of 1.43, that tells us this stock has good long-term potential over the next 1 to 3 years. The next indicator is the RS or relative safety, which is looking at the amount of risk involved with this stock compared to the average stock out there. So at 0.78, that tells us this stock has more risk associated with it than the average stock in the database, or the average stock out of 9,200 stocks. The third indicator is the RT or relative timing. The relative timing, once again, is looking at the short-term price trend of the stock. Since it's above 1, at 2, it's in the strongest uptrend it could possibly be in right now. Now, out of these 3 indicators, once you own a stock, the RT becomes the single most important indicator you need to be aware of, because the RT tells us whether or not the stock is making us money or losing us money. What I mean by that, if the stock's RT is above 1, that tells us the stock is in an uptrend or making us money. And if the stock's RT is below 1, the stock is in a downtrend or not making us money. And I think we can all agree it doesn't make sense to hold on to stocks that are losing us money there. So the combination of these 3 indicators are comprised to come up with our VST, value, safety, and timing vector. It's our master indicator here. Since that's above 1, that tells us overall on both a fundamental and a technical basis, WTI is currently favorable. DVN. All right, now let's see how fast we can do this. Let's see how easy VectorVest makes analyzing any stock out there. DVN, you have great long-term potential, a little bit more risk than the average stock out there. You are in a really strong short-term uptrend, so overall the stock is favorable. That wasn't even 10 seconds, and we've already got enough usable information to make an informed decision on a trade. Instead of spending hours upon hours going through spreadsheets and scads of data, we do all that work so you guys get to reap the profits. Let's go take a look at the next XOM. A lot of oil stocks coming in here today. It's almost like you guys were watching the afternoon market action yesterday or something. Who would have thought? XOM, good long-term potential, great long-term potential actually. About as risky, about average risk involved in this stock. Good uptrend. Overall stock is favorable. Let's see, EGY. EGY, great long-term potential, a little bit more risk associated with it though. Really strong short-term uptrends. Overall, stock's definitely favorable here. CVX. CVX, great long-term potential, a little bit more risk than the average stock out there. Really decent short-term uptrend. So overall, stock is favorable. SQM. SQM, good long-term potential, a little less risk than the average stock. You're basically moving sideways on a short-term basis, so overall it's a favorable stock. I'd like to see that timing pick up a little bit more though. AB, BNB, Airbnb, poor long-term potential, more risk associated with it than the average stock out there. You are in a slight uptrend, but once again, I prefer to see that RT at 1.1 or higher. Overall, the stock is not favorable though. COP. COP. Great long-term potential. Little less risk than the average stock. Really strong short-term uptrend. Overall, stock's definitely favorable. DRV. Let's go ahead and take a look. DRV. Since this is an ETF, VectorVest makes analyzing any ETF out there extremely easy. When looking at ETFs, because they don't have quarterly reports, they don't have balance sheets like a normal stock does, the RV and RS, the two fundamental indicators, are always going to be pegged at 1. Therefore, whenever looking at an ETF, your primary focus is RT. And if the RT is above 1, that tells us that ETF is in an uptrend or therefore favorable. If the RT is below 1, then that ETF is in a downtrend or not favorable. So DRV has an RT of 1.89, telling us it's in a really strong short-term uptrend. So overall, DRV is favorable right now. PBR. PBR, good long-term potential, but a lot of risk associated with it. So more of an aggressive stock currently. You're in a really strong short-term uptrend. So overall, stock's definitely favorable. SLB. SLB. Good long-term potential, a little bit more risk associated with it though. Really strong short-term uptrend. Overall, stock is definitely favorable. EPM. Once again, oil stock. Good long-term potential, more risk associated with it. Really strong short-term uptrend. So overall, stock is favorable. Let's see. ATKR. ATKR. Good long-term potential, a little bit more risk associated with it. Steady short-term uptrend. Overall, stock is favorable here. Wire. Let's go see. Good long-term potential, less risk associated with it. Timing is basically flat on a short-term basis. Overall, it's a good stock, but keep an eye on that timing. SJT. San Juan Basin. So San Juan Basin, good long-term potential, a little bit more risk associated with it than the average stock out there. However, you are in a steady decline currently. Overall, the stock is favorable, but the timing is just telling us stay away from it for right now. Wait for that timing to turn back around. PBF. PBF, good long-term potential, a little less risk compared to the average stock out there. Really strong short-term uptrends. Overall, stock is favorable. QRHC. QRHC, good long-term potential, a little more risk than the average stock out there. You are in a strong short-term uptrend, so overall, stock's definitely favorable. ARLP, good long-term potential, little less risk than the average stock out there. Strong short-term uptrend, overall, stock's favorable. LNG. LNGs are, as we just saw earlier, as of Friday, our best performer, our highest VST stock. This stock has great long-term potential. It has less risk associated with it. It's in a really strong short-term uptrend. Overall, the stock is definitely favorable here. Kev wants to take a look at Wolf, WOLF. Wolf, poor long-term potential, a lot of risk associated with it. However, you are in a strong short-term uptrend, so therefore the stock is favorable. Now, with the RV and RS being below 1, that does tell us this is more of a speculative trade, so be careful with that. This is more of a momentum trade, so make sure you're staying on top of it, timing that trade properly, so that way you can maximize your gain and not get caught off guard, because what goes up this fast can also drop quickly as well. TQQQ. So with an ETF, primary focus is RT. At 0.51, it tells us it is in a steady decline. Therefore, right now, it is not favorable. Bob's asking, with a good RV, RS, RT, VST on oil stocks, what is the buy timing trigger? I mean, there could be a few different things. Waiting for, the markets. You can do it from a technical standpoint, and therefore you're basing it off of the charts. Let's go ahead, take a look at Gush, for example. Just an oil ETF. If you're analyzing the chart, we'll go and customize our graph a little bit. Let's say you're doing it from a more technical standpoint. We'll go ahead, add on MACD. Go back. So MACD, you could look for, the MACD line crossing above the signal line, or that blue line crossing above the red line. You just had that crossover as of today, or as of a couple of days ago. I also have the 3/8 exponential moving average on here. You could use that. You could set up your charts, use whatever indicators you're looking at for those. One of the other things you could be looking at is waiting for that timing. If you're an aggressive trader, we have that primary wave up. You could be taking advantage of these if you're an aggressive trader. But once again, as an aggressive trader, you're most likely keeping a close eye on your charts as well. So it kind of all ties together. Those would be the key things to tell you when to buy on oil. If you're looking at one specific segment of the market, one of the only segments that seems to actually be performing well currently in the market, then you're going to be focused, on more technical indicators that are focused, that are reacting based off that specific price action. That would be the best guidance I could possibly give on, what would you use as a buying timing or trigger for that. You could put in, something that tracks the broad movement and use your technicals on a broad movement basis. You could use support resistance. There's a whole slew of things that you could use. Whatever, from a technical standpoint, though, my best advice is whatever indicators you're most comfortable with, use those. Just because if I have MACD on here and you're not comfortable with the MACD, don't use MACD then. Use whatever you're comfortable with, because when you're comfortable with those indicators, then you're willing to trust them more, and that means not allow your emotions to take over your trading. And as we always talk about, emotions can wreck anybody's portfolio. So the more you can help reduce your emotional decision process making, the better your trading will be. So use what you're most comfortable with when it comes down to charting. But as a side note, we did finish off all the individual indicators so far for our Technical Analysis 101 series that we have on our YouTube channel. So make sure to go check those out. Our final portion will be out Monday this coming week or next week, where we talk about, possibly combining some of the indicators and how to what to look for when you combine indicators. So that will be our last piece of the series. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying it so far. Got a lot of positive feedback on it, so I'm glad to put that out there, giving you guys some free information to help you become better with your charting. So if you haven't watched it, make sure to go check that out. We've covered all the major indicators. Now, there's more indicators out there, but we've covered the main indicators that are the most common ones to be used. All right, getting out of here though, let's go back. We got a few more stocks to take a look at. TNP. TNP has good long-term potential. You do have more risk associated with it. You are in a steady decline right now though. Overall, the stock's about neutral, but timing tells us to stay away. WMS. Good long-term potential. You have about average risk associated with it. You do have a strong short-term uptrend, so overall, stock's definitely favorable. DE, good long-term potential, about average risk associated with it. You are in a steady uptrend, so overall, stock is favorable right now. PFE, of course, I got time for you, Chris. There we go. PFE has good long-term potential, but average risk associated with it. You've been in a steady decline. Overall, the stock is a good stock because of the long-term potential, but right now is not the time to be long in it based off that RT. All right, and we'll finish up with two more stocks here. EVGO. EVGO, you have poor long-term potential. You have a lot of risk associated with it. You're in a steady decline. Overall, the stock is not favorable. And we'll do 2 more from here. Plug and then Amazon, and then we'll start wrapping it up for the day. Also, if you guys have been enjoying yourselves, I see we got over 80 people here right now and less than 50 likes. If you guys want to see more of these, make sure to smash that like button. All of it helps out the YouTube algorithms and doesn't cost you a thing. Plug, poor long-term potential, has a lot of risk associated with it. You're in a steady decline. Overall, the stock is not favorable right now. It's a speculative play in a downtrend, so therefore telling us to stay away for the time being. All right, last but not least, AMZN. Amazon, poor long-term potential, but you do have good fundamentals, so less risk associated with it. This is now turned from an aggressive play years ago to more of a conservative play. So therefore, with the RS of 1.13 tells us less risk associated with this stock. Now, timing at 0.81 tells us Amazon is in a steady decline currently. So therefore, we should not be holding it long in our portfolios. Wait for that timing to pick up. Therefore, overall, this stock is not favorable right now. So be careful with Amazon. I know it's a very popular one. It was the #1 trade throughout most of the last decade, honestly. But right now is not the time to be holding it in your portfolios. All right, so with that, we'll jump back to the homepage here. Taking a look, the Dow has come back now, gained about half of the losses that we were at earlier at the beginning of the stream. Now down only about 1/3%. The NASDAQ basically flat. S&P down about 1/4. VectorVest Composite also down about 1/4. Therefore, we got 3 yellow lights across the board. The market timing gauge is telling us the market is neutral, and VectorVest still advocates caution when buying stocks at this time. Scroll down, we can see those 3 yellow lights across the board. Taking a look at the advanced declines, 32% of stocks are moving higher, 55% of stocks are moving lower. So we're seeing the conditions improving to the upside, but we still don't have the advanced declines telling us that the odds are in our favor of, if we bought a stock right now, the odds are not in our favor that that stock is participating and moving higher with the market right now. So therefore, be cautious. Wait for that better buying opportunity. Hey, and chat comes in. Anybody looking for some friendly companion? You guys found it right there for you. Give me 1 second. Everybody say bye to the adult dating site there. All right, there we go. Bye-bye. Remove that. There we go. Awesome. So that's going to be it for me today. As always, we do have our Trending Thursday with Glenn coming up at 2 o'clock Eastern this afternoon. Make sure to come back around that time, show him some love. He's going to be talking about all the major headlines that are impacting the markets and how to take advantage of them from a trader's standpoint. So if you want to see what news is driving the markets, make sure to come back, hang out with Glenn at 2 p.m. Eastern. Also, as I stated earlier, we have some big announcements I'm hoping to finally be able to share with you guys starting next week. That is my goal, is to be able to start sharing some big news with you guys next week. So if you're not a subscriber to the channel, make sure to subscribe. Click that red button down below that says subscribe and turn on the notifications so that way you get alerted when that content comes out. Also, tell all your friends, tell all your family to come and subscribe so that way they can take part on the big announcement that we have, once again, hopefully to be released next week. Can't say anything more than that right now, but I'm extremely excited about it. I hope some of you guys are too. I know a few people are definitely looking forward to this one based on some of the comments, but I really look forward to that. So make sure, if you're not a subscriber, become a subscriber. It doesn't cost you anything. And tell your friends, family to come subscribe as well, so that way they can take part in what we've got planned here coming up. Because the more people here, the better it's going to make the announcement. So I'll leave it at that. So on that note, it's been my pleasure being with you guys. Have a great rest of your trading day. Be careful. Let the trend be your friend. And until next time, take care. Adios and toodles.